Divorce doesn't just break a relationship. It breaks routines. It breaks expectations. And sometimes it breaks you. But here's the truth. What God allows to break, He's still powerful enough to rebuild it. And no, I don't advocate for divorce. I advocate for healing, for truth, for wholeness. And today, I want to share a part of my story with you, because somebody watching right now is still sitting in the silence, wondering if healing is even possible. I remember the silence. I remember the weight in my chest, the questions in my head, and the emptiness in my apartment. Divorce wasn't just paperwork. It was pain. It was the death of a dream. I remember the guilt, the shame, the parts where I played a role in the downfall, and the parts I never saw coming. I remember looking at my kids and wondering, what legacy was I leaving? And I'll be real with you. There were nights I didn't know if I'd come back from it. But even in the middle of all that, there was one truth that never changed. God is faithful, even when everything else fails. That realization didn't show up like a lightning bolt. It came slowly, through the process, through the pain, through the wilderness. And somewhere in that space, I started asking new questions. What if God didn't allow the break to punish me, but to position me for something deeper? What if what I was praying for Him to fix was actually what He was trying to free me from? Hosea 2:14 and 15 says, "Therefore I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. I will give her back her vineyards and make the valley of Achor a door of hope." That's what the breaking did. It created space for His whisper, not a shout, not a spectacle, just a tender voice calling me back to identity, calling me forward to purpose. And piece by piece, God began rebuilding me from the inside out. So let me be clear. This isn't a story about heartbreak. This is a message about a stronghold. Because when my marriage ended, I wasn't just grieving the relationship. I was grieving my identity. The enemy tried to convince me I was broken beyond repair, that my calling had expired, that God couldn't use someone with that kind of baggage. That right there is a stronghold. And that's why this matters in this series. Because if we're going to break strongholds, we've got to talk about the ones that come wrapped in shame, silence, and failure. And I believe God is breaking that lie off of somebody today. You are not what broke. You are what's being rebuilt. And let me be clear again. I am not celebrating divorce. I believe in marriage. I believe in covenant. I believe it's worth fighting for. But I also believe this. God doesn't waste your wilderness. Sometimes we fight so hard for the image of relationship that we lose our identity inside it. So no, I'm not telling you to give up. I'm telling you to give God full access to your heart, whether that means restoration of the relationship or restoration of you. And listen, when I say God humbled me, y'all, I was in the kitchen scrubbing dishes, bumping to Tasha Cobbs, praying over those smoked sausages like it was communion. That was my altar. That was my healing room. That's where I learned to worship with nothing and still call Him faithful. So now let me ask you, what are you still holding on to that God allowed to break? What are you asking Him to restore that He's already redeeming through the release? I know what it feels like to think it's over, but can I encourage you today? You're not cursed. You're not crazy. You're not beyond repair. The breaking wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. And trust me, what's coming out of this season is stronger, softer, wiser, and more surrendered than anything you've ever known. That chapter of my life, the marriage, it ended. The door closed, and it came with the grief I can't fully put into words. But here's the good news. God didn't end me. He met me in the rubble, and he started doing what only he can do, turning ashes into beauty, pain into purpose, and regret into redemption. And in time, he brought restoration, not to what was lost, but to what was waiting ahead. I'm now blessed in a new marriage, one rooted in healing, grounded in grace, and full of peace. So tomorrow, day 4, we talk about what God can do with the ruins. I promise you don't want to miss it. But before you scroll past, I want to invite you to pause. Just take a moment. And if this word met you where you are, if you felt that kind of breaking, drop this in the comments right now. God, use the breaking. Make it your prayer. Make it your declaration. Make it your reminder that this doesn't have to be the end. And if this spoke to you, go ahead and share it. Someone else is quietly carrying their own pieces, and they need to know that God is still in the business of rebuilding what life tried to destroy. The break wasn't to punish you. It was to prepare you. And what feels like an ending is often the start of God rebuilding you from the inside out.